Welcome to Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network. I'm Rob Troutman. We have Ed, Dick, Josh, Jeffy here. Sean Duffy out on location. And, guys, Week 12 in the books of the playoffs, and some teams in our respective conferences with some losses, some with some big wins, and, again, a fun week in Week 12 for the playoffs.
Well, it's a good week for the Suburban League American. Well, not the American, the National Division. So Duffy's not here. It's kind of throwing me off here. I mean, my conference is able to get a couple teams through here to the third round. I'm pretty excited about that, and seeing what's going on with them. Unfortunately, one of the victories came at the expense of another National Division team, but nonetheless, it's a good way to guarantee that you're advancing from a conference standpoint.
Yeah, there are some good games in the Suburban League, also in the Southwestern Conference, and then the Greater Cleveland Conference. Josh had Mentor, Euclid, and Solon.
Yeah.
And some good games there. Let's start off there, Josh, in the Greater Cleveland Conference.
Well, let's start off there. I'll start off at Byersfield in Parma, where Mentor played number 1 overall seed St. Ed's. Actually did not do very well. They lost 34-10. Ed's, though, had a 13 lead in the fourth quarter. It was a close, tight game, and then Ed scored 21 unanswered points. Indiana recruit Cole Guest, 26 carries, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns for St. Edward's. And this was actually Coach Lombardo's 100th career win coming against a solid Mentor team. For Mentor, same people that do it every week for him. Alex Matthews had 22 carries, 129 yards. Jason Blizzard, my man. Jason Blizzard, great season. Not a very good game, though. Only 29 yards receiving for him. Tadas Tatarunas only had 120 yards passing. So St. Ed's really cramped down on the defense in the fourth quarter to really go ahead. But up until the fourth quarter, it was a good game, 13-10. And St. Ed's, some question, what team was going to come out on this game coming off, that really tight contested game against Cleveland Heights in round 1. And same thing with Mentor. Mentor came out strong with a 41-13 victory over Glen Oak in round 1. So you thought this was going to be a tight game, and it was, again, for most of the game until the fourth quarter, and then St. Ed's pulled away. This was actually the only team out of the GCC that did win, in Euclid with a 49-24 victory over Westerville Central. This was in Mansfield at Arlen Field. Euclid reeled off 35 straight points. They had 537 yards of total offense, and they were led by running back Chris Collins, 25 carries, 179 yards, 3 touchdowns, and quarterback Craig Robinson added 105 yards on 10 carries, along with 7 passes for 132 yards. Westerville Central, though, was led by running back Benny Snell. He had 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Euclid with a very impressive performance. They will actually meet St. Edward's at the regional semifinals at Byersfield this coming Saturday. So that's going to be a matchup between 1 and 5, and we'll talk about that a little later. And this was the final matchup in the GCC, and it pitted against a Suburban League team where Stowe came out, the number 2 team in the region, with a 24-15 victory over the Solon Comets. This game was played at Infocision Stadium at the University of Akron. Solon led 6-3 at the half, but Stowe went with its workhorse, Jason Gobble. For the game, he had 29 carries, 157 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And he also ended the game by sacking Solon quarterback Johnny Mooney. Johnny Mooney, the aforementioned, 129 yards rushing, 139 yards passing. Solon had a 42-yard field goal late in the third quarter to cut the score down to 1. The ensuing kickoff, though, for Stowe was returned by Terrian Ray, 97 yards for the touchdown. So Solon was somewhat making a comeback in this game, trying to get back in the ball game. and then Stowe just kind of took the life out of them with that long kickoff return for a touchdown. So a tough game for the Comets, a tough way to end the season, but they lost to a very good Stowe team, and Stowe will move on to play Olentangy in the regional semifinals here coming on Saturday. That game will be played at Mansfield Senior Stadium.
Yeah, it was a great game from Stowe. I mean, Stowe defensively really did a good job holding Solon.
Yeah.
It's only 15 points, and really credit Solon's defense as well. I mean, holding Jason Gobble under 200 yards is a pretty impressive,
no doubt.
Pretty impressive task. They also were able to hold off Kyle Van Treese. He wasn't able to get on the scoreboard himself either, but Stowe just they do it. They do it so many different ways, and in this specific game, defensively they played very tough. In special teams, I mean, you can't underestimate special teams, and they were able to score 10 points on special teams with the Garrett Rigby field goal and Tarian Ray's 97-yard kick return for the touchdown. That when you get that kind of production from your special teams to supplement the offense that they can run with Jason Gobble, just tearing things up, that makes for a very, very tough team. Stowe's a very, very tough team to stop, and not many teams have been able to hold Stowe beneath 30 points. However, Stowe's defense, credit to them. I mean, holding Solon down is pretty impressive.
Yeah,
in and of itself.
Johnny Mooney is obviously the leader of the Solon offense, and he was, he had a pretty decent game with over 100 yards in both rushing and passing, but nothing in the way of scoring. And like you said, you got to give credit to the Stowe defense for limiting that offense to only 15 points. Same thing with St. Ed's, and they did a very good job with that high-powered Mentor offense, only keeping them to 10 points. And they still gave up some yards rushing, not a whole lot though, but to keep, a guy like Jason Blizzard down, who had 70 receptions during the season for over 1,300 yards, to limit him to only 29 yards receiving is a good job. And Euclid, again, just to recap real quickly, 49 points. They scored 35 straight points, I should say, and they were led by running back Chris Collins, who's been their workhorse all year. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to in the regional semifinal, Euclid and Eds.
Well, I think you look at Euclid. I think they're one of the hotter teams in football. They continually every week get better and better. And Stowe, I mean, they've done it all year round. Obviously, they're undefeated, and they continue just to play good football. And they played a very good Solon team. You might look and say, Stowe, does it again, but Solon take nothing away from them. They had a great season. They've played good all year round, and Stowe is one of those teams that just each week is continually built upon their wins, and not too many close games for them. They've really dominated this year so far, and they look to continue that in the playoffs. And I know in the Suburban League there was one other game Ed had, and that he'll recap here.
Yeah, we had a little bit of conference-on-conference crime here, as it was a rematch of Week 4 between the Macedonia Nordonia Knights and the Hudson Explorers. This game took place Friday night at Bedford Bearcat Stadium, and Hudson's defense, they've been a big story this year. They're one of the few teams that actually shut down Jason Gobble. It was no different, at least from an overall standpoint. Hudson gets a 35-14 victory. Hudson, as a team, got 337 yards rushing, and 3 rushing touchdowns from running back Roman Moreno. Roman Moreno individually had 12 carries for 87 yards. Quarterback Jackson Parker was actually out the last 2 weeks with injury. He came back this week, had 11 carries for 64 yards and a touchdown. And Matt Restivo, 14 carries, 111 yards, including a 79-yard touchdown run in the second quarter. The game started out close. Our old friend Anthony Perrine,
Optimus
Perrine, started the game out with a 20-yard touchdown run, but Hudson then proceeded to put up 28 straight points on the Knights. The Knights just weren't able to get on track all night. Hudson's defense just completely smothered the other members of the team, and at this Perrine still got his numbers. He got 32 carries for 177 yards. 108 of which came in the first half. But it seems to me that they decided that, you know what, we'll let Perrine get his. Let's just shut down quarterback Justin Post and make sure that no one else on the night offense hurts us. And that's certainly how it came to be. Post was only 11 of 33 passing for 139 yards. So when your quarterback is only hitting on 33% of his passes, you're making life a little bit difficult. Making that offense really, really one-dimensional. So with the win, Hudson advances to the regional championship. They're going to take on number 3 Mayfield, 11-1. That game's going to take place Friday night at Solon Stewart Field in Solon, Ohio, 7:30 p.m. kickoff. Tell you what, Hudson made the jump. They jumped conferences. They were pretty successful the last couple of years in the Northeast Ohio Conference in the Valley Division. They also had a very good offense ran by Mitch Guadani. Now, their offense might not be as explosive as it is in years past, but their defense might be a little bit better, more smothering than it was in years past. And it's a testament to Coach Ron Wright to see, you change conferences, you do pretty well. You only really suffer one blemish to the best team in the league, and then you get into the playoffs, and Hudson's playing for a regional championship here for a chance to go to the state Final Four.
Yeah, Hudson, they're a playoff team, and they had one loss early in the season, and you wondered how they would come about after that game, after losing, and they just continue to play well. I mean, the offense gets enough points to win games, and their defense is very impressive, and they limit some pretty high offenses, some points. So great job by Hudson to get a win there.
Yeah, Hudson, the most points they've given up in a game is 17.
Yeah, that's for high school football, from what we've seen this year with a lot of scoring, that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. They gave up 17 in their 2 losses to Stowe and Stroudsville. But other than that, they've been able to shut teams down very, very efficiently. And against Nordonia, they had some pretty good success in the first game, and the second game was no different. So congratulations to the Explorers. Moving on to Week 13, regional championship opportunity, and congratulations and good luck to them as they take on Mayfield and for the Region 3 championship.
And give credit to Nordonia; they had a very good year. Their offense, how many times do we see them put up 30-plus points in games? Yeah. With Perrine and, the quarterback there who's been solid most of the year.
Yeah, they were pretty balanced for the most part. Obviously, Optimus Perrine has been the motor that really drives that offense, kind of very similar to what Jason Gobble does for Stowe. But, the Hudson in this specific case did a really good job of just limiting everybody else around Perrine and, letting Perrine get his and stopping everybody else.
Any thoughts, Josh, on that game?
Well, you have to give credit, like you said, to Nordonia. I think the one during this playoff run that they had, albeit 2 games, was the fact that they knocked off the number 1 seeded in the region, Aurora, and that was a big victory for them. And they just didn't have enough. Maybe that was kind of didn't have enough energy when they played Hudson. But like you said, when you're getting this deep in the playoffs, and teams like Hudson who have been there before can lock down on certain players and limit that, then it's only going to be successful for them. I'm looking forward to this matchup. Makefield's a really good team. And coming off of a hard-fought victory over Warren G. Harding, which, they were the 7th seed in the region, but, they had a big win against Madison, the number 2 seed, and then they almost beat Mayfield. It was only a 2-point game. So, this is going to be a good one. See how it goes. I think Hudson's going to pull it out, though. I think they are well on their way to winning that region.
Yeah, I think Mayfield got a little. Mayfield caught some luck. Warren G. Harding made a lot of mistakes down right at the end of the game there. Luckily enough, I was actually in the Youngstown area over the weekend, and my wife's family gets the Youngstown Vindicator, and they're all over Warren, the Warren area, obviously down there, and I was able to read the story a little bit there. Mayfield got a 26-yard field goal to win the game, as with little to no time left, but it was begotten from a special teams mistake on Harding, and they weren't able to get a punt off. Mayfield got very good field positioning on their last drive. Lots of missed opportunities for the Raiders there. But, a team like Mayfield, you can't do that with. They will take advantage of the mistakes, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, good matchups to look forward to, and we'll talk about the Week 13 matchups coming up later in the show. But let's move to the Southwestern Conference teams, in which Avon took on a very good Perrysburg team who came in undefeated. And Perrysburg would start off with a Noah Lentz 4-yard pass from Trevor Hafner. Bosworth with the kick. It was 7-0 in the first quarter, and Avon would respond as Will Heilman had a 5-yard pass from Jake Sopko. The kick was good. It was 7-7 in the first quarter, and a lot of scoring early on as Perrysburg then responded in the first quarter. Jacoby Myers with a 63-yard pass from Trevor Hafner. It was 14-7. The kick was good. Avon then responding with a Carter Rudy 41-yard pass from Jake Sopko. The first quarter would end at 14-14. We head to the second quarter, in which Perrysburg would answer twice. Noah Lentz on a 14-yard pass from Trevor Hafner made it 21-14, and then Zach Hansberger, a 34-yard pass from Trevor Hafner. It was 28-14 at half. Moving to the third quarter, Darren Davis caught a 23-yard pass from Sopko for Avon, cutting the lead to 28-21. But Perrysburg again would answer as a Noah Lopez on a 7-yard pass from Trevor Hafner. It was 35-21. Then in the fourth quarter, again, Perrysburg would respond twice. 48-21 is your final score. And Perrysburg advances to the third round. They're 12-0. Avon falls to 10-2. Again, it was 48-21. Perrysburg quarterback Trevor Hafner threw for 408 yards, 6 touchdowns, and also scored on a 99-yard interception return. And this was, and the fans there were unbelievable. 3,500 fans at Sandusky Perkins Field. And his favorite target, Noah Lentz, he grabbed 19 passes for 146 yards and 3 touchdowns. For Avon, running back Garrett Choate, he was limited to 75 yards on 21 carries. And Choate entered the game with 1,385 rushing yards and 20 touchdowns on the year. Sopko for the game, Jake Sopko, the quarterback for Avon, 25 of 39 for 315 and 3 touchdowns. So a good game by him, but too little too late as Perrysburg gets the win there. Now we head to Glenville versus Midview. This played in Avon Lake. Glenville and Midview. Midview undefeated. Glenville with only 1 loss on the year, and Glenview started off pretty impressive. Jones Washington with a 21-yard field goal. It was 3-0. Then Ralph Davis caught a 59-yard pass from quarterback Marcus Drish. The kick failed afterwards. It was 9-0 after the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, for Midview, Damian Mahone Jr. on a 14-yard pass from Logan Bolin. It was 9-7 as, again, the quarterback for Midview did not play, and that was huge. Dustin Crum sat out. He did come in for a play in the fourth quarter, which we'll get to, but otherwise he sat out this game with an injury and sat out most of the year. But in the second quarter, Glenville would answer. Quarterback Marcus Drish on an 8-yard run. The pass failed for 2. It was 15-7 Glenville. In the third quarter, Glenville again scoring. Marcus Drish on a 9-yard run. The kick failed. It was 21-7, and then Midview would answer with an Alec Ford 2-yard run. It was 21-14 headed to the fourth quarter. Glenville would score again with Dev Houston on a 2-yard run. The pass failed, and that's how it would end. 27-14, Glenville advancing over Midview. They are now 11-1. Midview falls to 11-1. And for Glenville, we didn't say his name, but junior Demarius Goodwin, he rushed for 34 carries and 174 yards. He did not get into the end zone. Logan Bolin did have a touchdown pass, and as we said, Dustin Crum was into the game in the fourth quarter and put Bolin back to wide receiver. But, the final incompletion was a 4th down throw to Logan Bolin at the goal line, and it was incomplete, broken up by Glenville, and the Mid-East season is ending. Just a great game. Glenville's one of those teams. They're very athletic. Their defense, very impressive, and they got to win. and move on. So right now it'll be Perrysburg against Glenville, and that'll be a very impressive game as we look forward to week 13 rather in round 3, and we'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah, I mean this is going to be a great game. I mean, unfortunately for the Southwestern Conference, you had your two best teams competing for a chance to face each other to go to the state semifinals, and that's start with Perrysburg. Excuse me. I mean Perrysburg. Goodness gracious. I mean, Perrysburg, we said before the playoffs started, was a really good team.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't hear a whole lot about them being where they're at, but, I mean, this is a team that just continues to steamroll. The Yellow Jackets are just, they've steamrolled over everybody they've played so far. They took it to Ridgeville pretty efficiently. They beat Avon. Hell, if they would have had a chance to play Midview, they could have crowned themselves the Southwestern Conference champions. But, then you go to Glenville and Midview. Without Justin Crum, I mean, Logan Bowen's done a tremendous job all year. He filled in really well against Berea Mid-Park when what at that point was the biggest game of the year. And then, unfortunately, against a team like Glenville, you need to have all the bullets in the chamber. And, without arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the area, if not the state, at the helm, that's just that's a little much for a team like Midview to overcome, especially against the athleticism of Glenville, who, while they may play undisciplined at times, their talent is just off the charts, and you can't make too many mistakes against them and expect to come out on top.
Yeah, I mean, Midview is down 21-14, Josh, headed into the fourth quarter, and, not out of it yet, but it seemed like the offense just couldn't figure out the Glenville defense. I mean, the Glenville defense, really quick and breaking up passes. They brought in Dustin Crum to maybe throw the ball a little bit more down the field. Logan Bowen, a very impressive quarterback, but I think Crum throws a little bit more accurate farther down the field. They tried to bring him in, and again, Glenville stepped up and played some pretty good defense.
Well, and that's typical Glenville. I mean, you kind of expect that over the years with Ted Gidd Sr. and his team. He's got a lot of good athletes at that school, and it just seems quietly every year they're right back in it, right into the thick of the playoff race. And this game, they did what they had to do to shut down a very good team, and it paid dividends for them with the victory.
Well, and like Ed said with Perrysburg, Perrysburg all year has been impressive. I mean, they haven't lost a game. And then you face a good North Ridgeville team. DeMario McCall, North Ridgeville tried to get him healthy for the game versus Perrysburg, and you thought he came in, about as healthy as he was going to get, and they limited him to, I think it was 35 yards in the game. So Perrysburg defense not giving up any points to North Ridgeville, and then coming back against a very good Avon offense who has been putting up a lot of points all year round, and really limited them to 21 points. So give credit where credit is due. Perrysburg, just an impressive team so far this year. But now we'll step away. We'll take a short break. And when we come back, we'll preview Week 13, Round 3 of the high school football playoffs when we come back. And, again, we're Sports on Tap, presented by RRT Productions, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Radio Network.
For the best coverage of Cavs, Indians, and Browns, check out NEOSportsInsiders.com. NEOSportsInsiders.com brings you breaking news, opinions, and video from all things related to your favorite Cleveland sports teams. Like us on Facebook and follow at NEO Sports Insiders on Twitter for live updates from all the games. NEOSportsInsiders.com, bringing you the best in Northeast Ohio sports coverage.
Join Sports on Tap the first Thursday of every month at Z's Cream and Bean, 2706 Boston Road in Hinckley, Ohio, as Sports on Tap talks local Ohio high school sports, Cleveland sports, and national sports topics. It's all happening at Z's Cream and Bean the first Thursday of every month starting at 7:30 p.m. Join us. You're listening to Sports on Tap's Ohio high school football coverage live on Mixlr. Live streaming every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Remember to check us out on Twitter at SOT Podcast and use the hashtag SOTHSF to post score, stats, and pictures from all your high school football games. Like us on Facebook and listen to all of our archive shows on iTunes, YouTube, and Podomatic. Again, our coverage starts every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. We're Sports on Tap.